Hi there, this is Kayla from 9CI. Thank you so much for clicking. As you know, sometimes we do a little paper review, and today is one of those days. So today I reviewed a paper called 5G Telecommunications Expansion, Public Health and Environmental Implications by Dr. Russell. So this paper is a literature review, and in case you haven't noticed, I tend to do a lot of them just because large-scale studies are kind of expensive, and you get to have one finding versus literature review. You get to review a bunch of papers and see what a larger group, a larger population study have been learning. So for this one, it reviews a lot of the same concerns that we've already discussed. The rollout of 5G hasn't been fully studied for the long-term effects. We don't even know the effects of, the long-term effects of first to fourth generation of technology. So 5G is generally between 6 and 100 gigahertz. It is a higher frequency. It will be a larger grid system because higher frequencies don't travel as far. They will transmit data faster, but not nearly for as long distance. So you'll have kind of like a honeycomb kind of setup. So obviously it's already in use for things such as, radar enforcement for speed, and for automatic driving cars to communicate with one another and to measure with the road. So if we don't know the long-term health effects, we can't prepare for them. Currently, right now, the safety standards are still set for thermal effects. So that means if it's not heating up your tissue, then it doesn't have any effects on you. This is not true. There are several studies stating otherwise, that there are many, many effects well below the thermal limits. Effects on such things as DNA integrity, gene expression, protein synthesis, cellular membrane function, immune dysfunction, blood-brain barrier integrity, so, protecting your brain from toxins, minor things like that. Melatonin production, so things that, affect your sleep habits. In case many of you are not sleeping well, this might be why. Neuronal function, and of course, as always, sperm damage, because they're sensitive. This is only at the cellular level, so things that can come of this are things like cancer, neuronal dysfunction, neurological problems, and eventually, possibly, electrohypersensitivity, which there are a few sufferers from. And there's an expectation that that number will grow with new technologies as they roll out more. Now, these are just the human effects. Can you imagine what other effects it's going to have on the rest of the planet? Because we are not the only ones living in this environment. There are, of course, all of the cute, fluffy animals that might be suffering from the same symptoms that we are. And then, of course, there are insects, which a lot of those bugs, mosquitoes especially, can, not survive this, and I'm totally fine with that. But there are things like bees that I would like to live. There are many studies that state that bees will abandon their hive if they're too close to a radio frequency source. Plants as well, they are designed to interact with their environment to get the most out of their environment, which means that if there's something toxic, they tend to feel it a lot more heavily. And bacteria, which a lot of those can feel free to disappear as well, just like insects, but there are some that we really, really need. So I'd rather they didn't disappear as well. So 5G, higher frequencies, doesn't travel as far, therefore it will be absorbed more readily into the skin and not penetrate deeper. So 90% of it is absorbed in the epidermal layers, which your skin is your first line of defense. So that means that there are increased risks to the systemic signaling mechanisms and all of that stuff for immune dysfunction and defense and a ton of other things that could lead to this. So obviously it's already in use, and some cell phone carriers actually have adopted it, but the infrastructure isn't quite there yet, so it's not quite ready. Obviously it doesn't have great support and great systems, and eventually they'll stop making phones to use the old infrastructures. So we won't really get a choice on this matter, apparently. So there are actually other people that have discussed this in more detail. I highly recommend Scotties Tech.info. He is one of the other YouTubers who has discussed this in depth. And yeah, so thank you so much for clicking and sticking with us. Feel free to subscribe, leave some comments below, let us know how we're doing, and if you have any concerns that you'd like to be addressed, let us know. And if you want to learn more on the subject, visit us at www.9ci.ca. Thank you.